Oh, how fabulous. Hello and welcome to How Fabulous by Toni and Co. I'm Toni, and in today's episode I chat to one of my very dear, and I'm saying old but she's not old, one of my oldest friends. She was actually my bridesmaid, or our bridesmaid as well. And we were born in the same little tiny dot village in Aotearoa, New Zealand, a long time ago. And we have lots of connections over there through life. But essentially, we didn't become friends until we both moved to Melbourne, Australia, even though we were brought up in this tiny little place, and we did know each other. But to be honest, I didn't really like it. And we go into that as well. So obviously, skip forward, we've become very good friends. And over the years, we've kept a close connection. She has had an extraordinary life. She is an extraordinary person. She's a fierce mama. She is good at everything she picks up and does. She's an extraordinary sportswoman. And she's funny as all shit. So there's that. She is a very honest person. She's down the line, and it's really lovely to sort of get to know more about her and understand her life and how she got to where she is today through all the ups and downs. So there you go, Jacqui Robertson. I hope you enjoy this episode. I loved catching up with Jacqui. She's hilarious. She was really quite calm today, but there's that. So there you go. Don't forget to subscribe and to follow. Hello and welcome to How Fabulous by Toni and Co. I'm Toni, and today my fabulous guest is Jacqui Robertson. Welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here, Toni.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come in. I have to explain how we know each other, because you and I have known each other a very long time. About, I want to say 30 years? 25?
Yeah,
but if we're
25.
both 30, how does that work?
25 years,
Yeah,
maybe.
25 years.
Yeah.
And Jacqui and I were born in the same little town in New Zealand, a tiny little dot on the map, Mount Maunganui.
Correct.
Were you born in Tauranga Hospital?
I was born in Waihi, so that's close. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, Waihi!
Yeah, the hospital's in Waihi.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I was born in Waihi.
And so we've known each other a really long time, and I want to go into, because you've had a really fascinating life outside of, getting out of the Mount, going overseas, working, having a family, and where you are now. But I want to go right back to the Mount.
Great, good stuff.
So Mount Maunganui. So you got born in Waihi.
Yep.
At Waihi? Is it that?
In Waihi.
In Waihi,
Yeah.
in Waihi. Yeah. But did your folks, because I know Jacqui's parents as well, not very well, but I know your parents, because everybody in the Mount.
They know each other. Everyone knows each other.
Everyone knows each other.
Cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins, they're neighbours.
Yeah.
They've been married to each other.
It's not Tasmania.
It kind of is a bit though. 1971 was a tiny bit like that.
Okay, yeah.
So the Mount. So here we are, so we're around about the same age.
Yeah.
And I looked up the statistics in 1971, let's just say.
Yeah.
There were 6,510 people living in the Mount.
Wow.
So now there's 20,000 people living in the Mount. So, and then over Christmas and holidays, it quadruples because it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it does. Like you can't get a car park down the beach.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it is so beautiful. And what it is, for those who haven't been to New Zealand, weird. What's wrong with you?
I know.
But if you haven't been to the Mount, explain the Mount. What's your version of Mount Maunganui?
So Mount Maunganui, it is a beach resort. It's like a mini surfers paradise.
But more better. Heaps more better.
Heaps more better. So when you go down, when we were young, there'd be the surf club. I think there was I don't think there was any even high rises back then.
Negative, there was not.
There was not.
There was like one caravan park.
There was a caravan park, which was up on the Mount Hill.
Correct. Near Mount Drury.
Oh,
see, it's all coming back now. Yep.
Yeah, and I think basically, so it was just this neat beach town. We grew up, we went after Mount Maunganui Primary School, we went down to the beach.
I went to Omanui.
Oh yeah,
so,
that was
enemies.
There was
Aotearoa, Omanui, and then where you went.
Mount, So you would go down the beach every night after school. Mum would take the foamy surfboards.
The foamies,
man. We'd get on the foamies. Yeah, go to the dairy.
Yes.
We'll get
for a milk biscuit.
Ice blocks, chocolate milk biscuits.
I tried explaining that to someone the other day, like a milk. I'm like, they're like, nah, don't get that. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
That's next level. That's like,
next level. I need to get some. In fact, I should have got something today.
Yeah,
anyway,
we should have got
matter.
it like a snack.
Sorry.
Could you imagine it?
It would be all like white. Can't talk.
But you know, like the upbringing was second to none, and I think it's like very, very grounding.
Yeah.
Because it was such a simple lifestyle. Even though it's like an oxymoron to say that it's like a beach resort and a simple lifestyle. But I think as the years slowly evolved, it just started getting bigger, and then the high rises, and then the rich people would come in.
And it's a bit like Byron Bay now. The last time I went, it was a bit Byron Bay, a bit Gold Coast, but going back to our version of it.
Yeah. So I think, with our version, can you remember, so there's the Surf Lifesaving Club, and then we came back to that, where you go to those parties out on, what was that called?
Oh, the Sound Shell?
No, other way, out into the water, and there was like that wee water park.
Oh God, Leisure Island.
Leisure Island.
So down in the mount there was this, so if you can imagine, Maui is the actual mountain at the end, and then on one side is beautiful, amazing surf beach, white sand, and on the other is the bay.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's this big mountain at the end, which you climb up or around, and you have a look at the views, and it's amazing. And then off the surf beach, there was this little island.
It was an
and
island,
it was literally called Leisure Island.
Leisure
and they would have parties. So as we started getting older,
we were allowed to go there, or we'd sneak out and go there.
Yeah, sneaking out.
And get hammered. It was just, it was, if you could go there and then talk about that at school the next day, that was next level.
Yeah.
And then they looked at, I think, I don't know, they're looking at putting a hotel out there for years, and then a water park.
Yeah.
But that was just really huge memories to look back on. Yeah. And then coming back to the other side, Mount Drury, where they had Miss Mount Maunganui. Can you remember going and seeing that?
Did you ever? Were you ever a contestant?
I felt like I should have been.
You should have. You would have slayed it, girl.
Nah.
What?
That was
Donososki.
Oh, shut up.
Remember? Oh, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say names. Yeah, why not? I'll just say it. I remember
that's right.
She was in one of those, and there was another girl. Was it one of the Pocock girls was in it or something? But I remember, we'll clarify here. In the Mount, even though there was only 6,510 people living there at that time, so let's say when, that's when I was born, so that's like 50 years ago. So even if you add on another 10 years or whatever, you and I didn't actually meet and start hanging out until we'd both gone and done our thing and had moved to Melbourne. So you and I didn't hang out in the Mount.
No.
At all.
No.
And I feel
that was the difference between Amanu Primary and Mount Maunganui Primary.
That's right. Yeah. And even in intermediate and even in college. But I knew of Jacqui because if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that she looks like she should be a supermodel. And back then she was as well. And I was sort of, we hung out in very different kind of circles, I guess. Yeah. Even at school. And I remember Jacqui, even back then, she was really tall. And I remember you always had excellent posture. And I thought you were stuck up. So there's that.
You're not the first person to tell me that.
But you just had really good posture. So, you know, now I know better. But I mean,
that I am stuck up.
Yeah, you're stuck up mole. But
I'm a stuck up mole.
I posture.
Mole. I haven't heard that for a while.
And so Jacqui was off there doing, and I remember looking in the school yearbooks, there would be Jacqui Robertson, surfing, Jacqui Robertson netball, Jacqui Robertson, every sport you can imagine. Where was Toni Kelly? Nowhere. I didn't play anything. And then Jacqui would just be there, and she'd be in her netball thing, and it's just like,
surf club.
Yeah, surf club.
Got everything. My bronze medallion at the surf club.
Everything you could do, she was just doing it. Yeah. And then anyway, we almost were family. She almost got married to one of my family members.
Yeah, that's quite true.
Yeah, that was quite true.
It was quite a pivotal part of my life.
It was. Forget about it. Forget about it.
It was a turning point.
So we grew up in this tiny town together, you off doing all these amazing things, but you're right, it was really simple, wasn't it?
It was a really simple upbringing.
Netball club, rugby club, squash.
Squash.
Did you ever play squash?
I did.
Of course you did.
I did, yeah. I really enjoyed squash, but I think it was more netball, massively into netball.
Yeah.
And it was really good because all the families got involved, especially like your family as well. And I think that's how we kind of crossed paths.
And didn't your mum used to be a netball coach or something?
Yeah, well, she played like A-grade netball. And so she loved it. So it was a really big netball rugby, the netball and rugby club. Go down and watch those.
Look at me, the Mount has had 2 All Blacks come from the Mount.
Yeah.
This tiny little place that sometimes isn't even on the map. Your brother was one of those.
Yeah, he was a All Black, and he represented New Zealand, and then he went on to travel over to Japan and coached in France. He was offered contracts, which was fantastic for the family. It got my mum and dad, who were typical Mounties, to travel overseas, and it gave them that commonality that New Zealand have. Like with Australia, you look at the AFL. You've got all the different areas that play AFL. You've got the rugby league, and then rugby union is predominantly private schoolboy here. Yeah. Unless you go to the burbs, and it's like back to the old rip and tear. Yeah. So what I think rugby union's done for New Zealand, it's really brought the Maori culture and the, what do you call it, Pakeha? You allowed to use that word? Okay, we'll go with that. Culture together, and great unity. So really proud. My brother put in a lot of hard yards and a lot of hard work to get to where he was, and so now he's a coach of a Super 14 team, the Crusaders, which is a New Zealand team.
And you followed his career, like you were just really interested in all sports anyway, and rugby. Yeah.
Well, that's what you grow up on. In New Zealand, it's like rugby, racing and beer.
And in particular in the Mount as well.
Yes,
it was Friday night, Saturday night. I kind of moved away
Friday
before
night, Saturday night,
Sunday night, Monday night.
Tuesday night after training.
Yeah. But I moved away, I think, earlier than you. Right. I think because I moved when I was 15, and then that was the end of that. So our paths didn't really cross. Yeah. And then I went away and did my thing. What did you do after you left the Mount? Why did you leave the Mount?
I just got to a point where I love the Mount, and it's always have a special place in my heart. But I just got to a point that I wanted to travel overseas. I wanted to go and see what was out there, and some of my crazy girlfriends were like, let's go, let's do it. So I was, let's go. So I remember having my 21st party in the garage at home.
Done it again. Sorry about that. That's a slab. Hang on, I'll just turn it.
Love it, man. I'm quite surprised she didn't answer it, but anyway.
Hang on a minute, I'm just talking.
So we, like typical Mountians, had our 21st birthday in our garage and invited everyone around.
I love it.
All hanging out in there. Got out the yard glass. I did a yard glass.
Oh, I can imagine that.
Sitting there, just like getting it right down. And then so kind of when I think I was nearly 22, then I decided to sell everything up and head overseas.
Wow, that would have been a huge thing.
Yeah, it was.
A big decision.
It was a big decision, but I always thought there was so much more out there and so much more that I needed to experience. So I thought, let's just go, let's just do it. So I packed everything up, bought a backpack, got some travellers checks at the time and got my little bum bag, and off I went. And I met a friend over there that had secured a flat.
And where did you go?
My first port of call when I got there was, I think I went to Acton in London. So got off the plane and went and found my friend and went out and got a job on the Monday and started working, and it was just incredible to go from Mount Maunganui that had 6,000 or so people.
6,510.
That is so young in culture, like the history of we don't even have a high rise. To then...
They didn't even have a big shopping
We
mall.
weren't even multicultural. We weren't even massively multicultural.
And that's the thing about the Mount. I mean, now, yes, quite different. But back then it was actually quite, dare I say, quite a racist place to live. It was, there was a lot of, there was a kind of a particular feeling about... Asians and Māori people and whatever. And that was, maybe that was part of the whole 70s across the board. But I certainly felt in my life growing up there, and I only left when I was 15. So I still think I was a little bit young to kind of really grasp it. But I kind of felt like I never really belonged in the Mount. I never fitted in. And...
So that's why you left?
No, I don't know if I would still be there right now, actually. We left because my stepfather, my late stepfather, beautiful man who raised me, he got a job overseas in Adelaide. So we left, and I left kicking and screaming. So I thought the Mount was it for me. I literally thought, and that's a lot of what the people in the Mount do think like, that you
because
stay there,
you've
got everything there,
yes,
you've got your families there, it's a beautiful place, it's relaxed, and a lot of people that I know have stayed there, or they go away for a bit and then they come back and then they stay close to the Mount. But I left kicking and screaming, thinking I'm going back, I want to go back, went to Adelaide, and then went, oh my God, this place has like a Kmart and I'm lost in it. Like I had no idea. I led such a sheltered life in the Mount. And that was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing.
Yeah, so you went from a place where with 6,000 or so people that everyone knew everyone to Adelaide, which would have been more multicultural.
Oh, so much more. I've never seen a Jewish person.
Well, this is what I mean, and this is where you
person.
can go and be who you want to be.
Yeah.
So I felt that I always had a bigger personality.
Oh. Okay,
to put it nicely.
To put it nicely.
I got that from my mother. So I felt like I needed to go out and experience it without the people looking and commenting. And
because that's the thing, growing up in a small town, everybody knows your business.
100%. If your car was parked out in someone's house they weren't the next morning, they'd bring your mother.
Yeah, that's right. All of that. And that's actual truth.
It's true.
And so
I won't provide examples, Toni.
I can imagine, and I would have found it hard to believe that you would have actually, you, being you, who is so inquisitive and full of adventure and such a big personality, would have stayed in the Mount and been really, really happy there. Even if you'd stayed there, got married and had kids, I feel like you would have, it just wouldn't have been enough for you.
Yeah.
Maybe go back when you retire.
Absolutely,
that might be a thing, but to do, and from what I know about your travels overseas, you had a really colourful time.
Very much so. It was so to kind of progress and go overseas, and then you can be who you want to be as a person. You can go there and be what sexuality, what your physicality can change, your personality can shine without any form of judgment from anyone, because people don't know you. So you could, like, we end up dressing the way who we are as a person. You can go out 5 different nights being 5 different things. So I really love that opportunity to go and express myself, my individuality, and go to a nightclub. I met this most wonderful woman who was about 10 years older than me, and she was in the nightclub industry, and she knows Richard Branson, and she worked for him, and so we'd go out to clubs, he would be there. We would go out and there'd be like the Prodigy, Oasis, all of all of the latest at the time artists. I'd end up going to parties where they were. So it was really a step from Mount Maunganui to going on a tube to go into London to see huge amounts of history, like buildings that have got years and years of history on their pavement. And I'm just like this little Kiwi chick going, what the?
With your eyes wide open.
My eyes just wide open going,
agape.
What the? Yeah. And it was incredible, and I just wanted to seize the moment.
I remember you telling me that you actually went busking.
Yeah.
Even once.
Yeah, we went busking.
Just because you could. I remember asking you, and you going, we could.
Yeah. We just tried it. And it was such a way to learn to express yourself. I felt that I had a lot to get out of my system, and to go there and explore the culture, the music, the fashion, the walking up the street in Oxford Circus and looking, and there's like 25 bikes going past, people nude. Because they're doing some nude thing, and you can express yourself.
You don't get that in the mount. Maybe in private.
So it was just like everyone can be such individuals, and that's what I loved about it. And working there as well, going in and the Tipex and the Twink, like when you white shit out, and the typewriter. It might have been, but it was kind of typewriter days. Can we wipe that? And so to kind of go there and experience a picture postcard, and what do I mean by that? A Christmas with snow.
Yeah, beautiful.
Like that's all it says on the Christmas card. So all of a sudden, I'm waking up on Christmas morning. Okay, you forego your family when you do that, but I got to experience different seasons. Snow Christmas, we had barbecues. And then to kind of you did then run in the circles of Australian and Kiwis if you chose. I know a lot of people went to Australian and Kiwi pubs, which I did test a few out, and they were great. But meeting my friend Maria, it gave me an opportunity to enter into a different, like the music industry, of what I would sit back now and listen to the latest music. I was there. When the Prodigy put down their track, The Firestarter, I was with the Prodigy management in their studio, and they were mixing it and showing me before it lay down on its track.
See, now, had you had one of these back then, you would have been able to flick through your phone and show us. But back then it just all went in here.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have had a mobile phone back then.
No,
not even a camera, probably.
No.
Or maybe you've developed the films, I don't know.
No.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so so you stayed there for how many years?
7.5 years I was in London.
Oh my God! So did you make London your base and then went zip, 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 zip,
zip? Yeah, that's it. So,
and did you see all of Europe?
A large percent of Europe. So one of my best friends at the time, Tanya, we got together and we bought a Ford Transit van and we painted it. The wheels were like, one was pink, one was blue, and we put the Beastie Girls on the side. And then a group of us girls packed our stuff up and we got our bags. Like, I had a blow dryer, high heels.
Of course
we
you
had
would.
our makeup man all ready to go.
Not your typical backpacker.
Not a typical backpacker, but then we were like no bras, like at certain times, the plaits. But then we pulled up. I remember we pulled up at this casino. We're in France, in Nice, and we pulled up at this casino into the car park, and all us old boilers men were in the back of the van getting all ready, like getting all ready, and all walked out like 5 of us out of the back of this transit van. We were sleeping all glammed to the nines to go into this casino. Got smashed as anything, came back and just hopped in, set up the bunk beds, all slept in there the night. So
what an experience.
Yeah, and it was an opportunity to go and just be in the movie, be in your life movie, and just go live it. Which I just loved. Would I let my daughter go? We'll have big discussions, but
you learned so much about yourself, so
very much so.
There's that.
Yeah, very much so. Like now, you know, to reflect back, I'd never travel with a backpack now. I travel with a suitcase only.
And you wouldn't do a backpackers hostel or a car?
Well,
you
they
would
probably
do
wouldn't let me in.
van?
There might be an age limit, but
Yeah.
no,
But
because I've done that. I've to go through Europe, to travel, to sit and look at a map and research the places, research the history, and then to put it into practice and go around to meet different cultures, to take opportunities that are present itself, as in I travelled through Africa and South Africa, for an example. And
Shit, did you do that by yourself or with people?
a girlfriend and I went through.
How
and
did you?
We hitchhiked.
Oh my, what?
What?
What? How did you feel doing that? Were you scared?
No, I was bulletproof. So we were hitchhiking, going down from...
Whereabouts in South Africa?
We went down, we started, so I flew into Africa and then went through Egypt and Jordan, and then came down the east coast of Africa, down into Johannesburg.
Wow.
Yeah, so
It's
we
really
went
beautiful there, isn't it?
Tanzania, Malawi, like stayed at Lake Malawi. It was just incredible. You know what? This is one of the, like a pivotal moment of my travels. I remember going, like in Lake Malawi, walking down to the lake, and I had my razors, man, because I still wanted to do my legs.
I love it.
We could hear the singing, and it was all these women bringing their children down from the hill to wash them in the water. And then you got Leah and I in the water. I'm soaping up my legs trying to shave them, and here's this woman with boobs down here, these African women that were there singing, oh, la, 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 and it was just
beautiful.
I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
yeah.
But it was, and they were happy, and they were bathing in the water and wondering,
Yeah.
what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I was called a Mzungu, that's what they call white person. What's this Mzungu woman doing? And they go, Mzungu, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just such a moment, like the irony and the parody of being in Lake Malawi and
Just trying to save your legs.
Yeah,
and
they
then
came
were
down
just
each
there with
morning with their
babies,
kids and
just
sang
bathing.
and washed them in the water and washed their clothes. And
But that, I mean, that's the thing though. Like we all look at. I don't think I have not travelled nearly as much as you, and I certainly didn't travel on my own. I've travelled with Phil. I did a tiny bit of travelling, but not to the places you've been, and that just blows my mind. And I have a lot of respect and awe for women that go travelling on their own or with someone, because that, to me, I don't think I was ever really brave enough to do that. And I've always been a bit fearful of that. But I think that to be able to do that, you have to be really, you have to be a lot braver. You know, you have to have that. You have to bring that thing
you have to
and
be
work
fearless.
out how the
You've got
fearless.
to be,
That's
because
it.
people smell it.
Yeah,
They'll smell the
and
fear.
work out how to
And
even get around. And I find as I get older, I'm less inclined to do that.
Oh, same.
But back then, you did that. But then looking at these women and you going, oh, well, they were looking at me going, what am I doing? And but it's all, it's all subjective, isn't it? You were on your own wonderful journey to find Jacqui Robertson.
That's right. And to
whatever way that is.
see the world and the things that I've seen, even at the time, and until you reflect back on them, the enormity of the situations you were in. Lake Malawi, we were staying. We came down and we were on the border, so Tanzania, and I remember staying in this thatched roof, and there was all this thatch on top, and we're laying there, and next minute I heard someone run past, and there was security there because you had to be very, very, safe, and all of a sudden I just heard all this running, and I went out and there was all these people running everywhere, and I'm like, what is happening? And this African guy ran, and I just saw him jump off the side of this cliff, and I was like, what the? I couldn't process it in my brain. And then a whole lot of other African people came over and they started stoning him, and they were pulling the thatches off the roof of where we were staying and lighting it and trying to burn him. And when you're in a moment like that, you sit there and you go, your brain can't process that.
Oh my God, no, it's so surreal.
Much that you can't, it's something that you can reflect back on. So I went into shock after that, and the irony of that, to see that happen, we were like, oh my gosh, my immediate reaction is why? What's he done? Like,
what could be so bad?
And what happened was there was these American people walking along the water, and he had this big camera on. So that one of the guys came over on the boat from Tanzania or something, and he went and stole it. And because most of the economy is derived from tourism, the locals thought they were doing the right thing by attacking this guy that had come off the boat from Tanzania and were going to kill him.
Wow.
It was, I didn't even process it. I didn't tell Mum about that when I rang and she asked how we were going.
Oh my God.
So to smell burning flesh, to see someone getting stoned, to not know something, it's the decisions you can make when you're travelling, it can be life and death, it can be crucial. So it's just like incredible. Like we got a friend of mine, he got malaria when we were in Africa, and so to take him to the hospital, and he wasn't faring very well, and then he had to have tablets, and so we ended up staying longer in one place to help him out. He was just a Australian tourist.
And so you're still really young at this point, though. I mean, that's really
and to be away from home, and to be, you know, institutionalised in this little beach town, to then having all these experiences, and always felt like we had to make a decision, and they could be life or death situations. They could be life or death decisions. So I remember we were in Johannesburg, and we were hitchhiking, and these guys pulled up.
I can't even believe that you were hitchhiking.
No,
quite
I can't
frankly.
either. I can't either. Look, upon reflection.
But at the time,
got my thumb out. We're hitchhiking. These group of guys pulled up in this bucky, because that's what the like a ute's called. What we call a ute. They're like, oh, get in the back of the bucky and we'll take you in. I said, I want to stay in at this youth hostel in the city in Johannesburg. And they go, oh, you don't want to stay there? And I go, well, yeah, I want to go in and we want to stay there. And they said, no, come back to our place. And I'm like, okay, right.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got to make a decision. So we went back to these guys' place and stayed the night.
And was it okay?
The youth hostel was robbed that night. And we met these wonderful guys and had a great time. They gave us a braai, they cooked us boerewors, which is the South African sausage. I didn't get the South African sausage, but
did you?
Sorry.
Did you feel like all throughout this amazing sort of travelling experience? Do you feel like you had to rely heavily on your intuition? Like, did you develop that?
No, just...
Or did you just feel
well,
that
you know,
you always had
you
it?
didn't want to go, or your fear, because you're a drama queen, your fear, you didn't have that, whereas I was fearless. So... But
you kind of still are as well.
Yeah, like, kind of am, yeah.
You know, everything you've done since you've come back then,
it's
always been, you know, you're very... what's the word? There's so many words I could be fucking using right now, but you are fearless, and you're brave, and you think, you're a deep thinker, you're analytical, you research everything to the nth degree. If you want to know anything about anything, ask Jacqui to do it, because she'll give you 5-page essay on it, because she will have worked it always, looked at reasons why, pros, cons, goods, bads, everything, because that's what you do. So.
And the irony in that statement is generally analytical people sometimes don't get to make decisions because they spend so much time in the moment trying to analyse the situation. So I must be just flexible, because I can do both.
You're like I don't know if it's a savant, but yeah.
But I think, and then like reflecting back on my trip, and a lot of times we, like when I lived in London, I had the most incredible experiences of my life, and I am the type of person that will have my beef but move on. And what I'm trying to say is, like when I lived in London in Walston Green, and I was at a party one night and we were just getting smashed. There was lots of everything going around and we were having great fun. And I remember walking home and I was attacked. and it was, I was knocked unconscious and came to bloodied and not well, and like that was a real pivotal moment, because that was just before I can't remember, but maybe a month or so before I got on a plane to go to Travel Africa. And one thing I did remember, that my attacker was African, so I had to process in my brain, okay, let's compartmentalise that, because I've booked a trip. This life's got to go on. No one's going to change the direction of my life. You live once. Let's go. So I had to go to Africa. I had to go and do. There was nothing going to stop me getting on that plane to go. And so things like that, when you feel the fear and do it anyway, and have such a live life to the next level, it can have its repercussions, but it's how you choose to deal with it. It's made me I don't know if I'd say a better person, but a different person, in the sense of maybe I'm untrusting in some respects. Maybe I know that life's short.
But you just do it.
You just do it.
You just get on and do it, yeah, for sure.
I can't be held back from my life situations, from what I've experienced. If it's seeing someone getting stoned, going through a physical attack that was beyond, and what the aftermath of that was, you know, to go to Scotland Yard and have to do an identikit picture of my attacker, and my whole family's in a different country. Yeah. It's just me.
Do you think so? It sounds like it's strengthened you. You know, you're pretty out there anyway. You know, even if you'd been born on the Mount or anywhere else, you would have still, you know, that's who you are. But it must have made you stronger and mentally stronger.
Absolutely.
The only, you know, like probably a lot of the time you were travelling on your own and figuring out how to get places on your own.
That's right.
No GPS on the telephone, thanks.
No GPS.
Map. Can't even. And so so when did you decide that you were going to come back to New Zealand or Australia?
Well, that's a good question, because I couldn't come back for a while because I had a court case to attend to. So I had to wait for that to finish. And then I remember I was an overstayer too. I was an illegal immigrant. Maybe like that. So I had overstayed. So once I left, I had to leave. So my nana passed away. If I left, I wouldn't have been allowed back in the country. So, and I considered marrying an Englishman just so I could get the passport, because I loved it. It was just such a life of, it was just incredible. But then it was time. I wanted a couch.
Yeah.
My own couch. I wanted a car. I wanted, like, I'd come home and, okay, so-and-so was so-and-so now, and then so-and-so had been with so-and-so, and then I was like, my gosh, wow, I've come back to this. Is this going to be enough for me? So, yeah, I ended up going back to New Zealand, and then came to Melbourne for a wedding. And went, I want to come and live in Melbourne.
So you did go back to the Mount?
Yeah, for about half an hour.
Oh, God! I mean, it's a good place to visit.
Yeah, and like it was fantastic, but I needed something in the middle. So to me, coming over and coming to a wedding, I went, this is where I want to be. So I went home, packed my backpack again. I think I bought over $500. Went and dossed on someone's couch.
And 12 pairs of shoes. Bet you there were 12 pairs of shoes in that. And a blow dryer and a lipstick.
Yeah, and got a job.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So then and then we ran into each other not long after I got to Melbourne.
Well, we didn't run into each other. My dad, who is in the Mount, rang me because I'd followed a boy over to Melbourne. Terrible decision. And we broke up. Long story short, I'm here in Melbourne. I don't know anyone. And Dad, in his only way that he can do it, he goes, yeah. You should ring, I've got the number of Jacqui Robertson. I'm like, who? And he goes, you know, Jacqui Robertson. I'm like, oh, yeah, nah. Oh, we don't really, you know.
Yeah.
And he's, nah, just ring. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. And I'll never forget, we met up at a bar, and we got on like a house on fire. Like we were, and I just went, what?
I just laughed
and
our guts up.
Laughed our guts up and went, and ever since then, you know, you are that person that I can be completely myself with. Good, bad, ugly, and everything else. Crazy. You've held my hair back a few times when I had long black hair.
True.
Do you remember that?
In the Festiva.
And the Festiva. Oh my God, driving that car. And so we had lots of fun. So we just started going out and having a huge amount of fun. Yeah. And I remember you had this flat in St Kilda. Yeah, that's right. Do you remember? Awesome. And I would turn up in my Festiva with oh God, clean skin red. Yeah, for sure. Clean skin red. And I would holler, because it was like you were up on the second floor. That's it, And I would go, ah! And then all I would hear, the whole neighbourhood in St Kilda would hear, that's right. This would be her yelling down. It was like this Rapunzel thing going on. And then the door would open and boom, the weekend would begin. And it was just on. It was just on. It was on. We had so much fun. And because you were into rugby so much, you'd been watching and going to have a look at rugby. And I don't even know what I was doing with you, hanging out talking about rugby, because I'm the anti-sports person. But anyway, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And we ended up. I met my husband. I met Phil because of you. That's right. Because you were going out with a guy who I think wanted to go out with your brother because he was an all-black. Yes, I did catch a few deals using that line, but that was true. Yes. And that's how we met. Yeah. And so that was a thing. Yeah, that's right. And we were at breakfast, and then that was the whole thing like that. And then when we got married, you were my beautiful bridesmaid. That's right. And you ensured that I got drunk before my wedding. Remember the night before, and you came down? Yeah, that's right. Dancing around the lounge room? Yeah. Did you get that? I don't know where Pauline is. Sorry, very professional. There's a doorbell ringing. It could be urgent. Could be. We'll just send someone to do that. Yes. And that was fun, and we had a lovely, that was a really fun day that day. Yeah. It was like such a moment in time, wasn't it, really? It was a moment in time, and then we sort of kind of went our own ways and moved away, and you met someone, and then you had a family, and that relationship's no longer. But here you are, you've reinvented yourself. Yes. And I'm not surprised, because once you set your mind to something, it's on. Yeah. And so what did you have to do? Like, how did you... was it different this time around, because it's not just you, it's your, you're doing it for your children. Yeah. Well, look, it is in the sense of leaving somewhere and moving to somewhere else. I think it took a while to come out of my marriage, to come out the other side. I feel that I really needed time to reflect on who I'd become, what I had lost, what I had gained, what could I learn. I felt that could only be served with time. So it's been, over 3.5 years now, and I am just in such a good place. I've got a great job. My 2 kids are fantastic. Just taking my life back into control. And you're healthier than you've ever been in your life. Happier, and I just think once I realised in life, my motto is it is what it is. Yeah. And that's just how I live my life. I don't like to get hung up on stuff. I move on from stuff pretty quick. It is, well, maybe the marriage took a while, but it is what it is. So. But that's that's just a process. Like 2 adults, I think you can be together for a certain period. You've just got to face reality, and so now it's about kids' sport. Like my Friday night is like footy practice, and then we've got basketball and basketball uniforms, and then footy again on Sunday. I don't even know how you do that. It is just incredible, and I sometimes sit there and reflect back on my life with a grin, and that's why I think you and I have that connection. We'll always have that connection, because we can just laugh. Yeah, and pick up, even if we don't see each other for months, years, weeks, days, whatever. Like we'll on the phone, and it'll just pick up where it was. Yeah, and I think that is a really wonderful thing, and it's really special to me and it makes me laugh, because obviously when I way back when, and I was thinking, I had ideas about you, but a 14, 15-year-old mind is quite different from an adult mind. Yeah. that you can think something about somebody without knowing them.
That's right.
And then that is the biggest mistake you can make, isn't it?
That's yeah.
But then also, and you probably find this as well, that you can get to know someone at a certain stage in life, and you know that about that person, but you still really don't know 100% of them. It's what you see, you know. Then when we stop talking, you go and do your other life stuff, and then move on to a next stage in your life. And again, you get to know them differently. So our friendship's gone through lots of different stages.
Sure has,
of us being, you know, swinging single, party animals, 2 hot chicks on the town.
Oh, for sure.
To, you know, partnering up, getting married, having children. I mean, that just is just mind-blowing.
Same. I still kind of got to look in the back seat and go, oh my God, what happened?
Here?
What the hell happened here?
I know. You know, and then going, so what's the best skincare now? What's the,
I know.
You know what I mean? You want hormone replacement.
Yeah,
I mean,
do you have an air fryer?
Yeah, do you have, oh my God, I got an air fryer. We got an air fryer for Mother's Day.
Awesome.
Jacqui and I went, I know, this is Jacqui. So again, if you ever want anything researched, go, okay, so Jacqui, it's this particular, exercise bike. And she'll go, okay, I'm going to give you 5 pages of why you should buy this particular brand. This is the cost, but here's a comparative analysis of the price and of the. She'll just do that. It blows my head off. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, just do it. I don't really. Our brains think really quite differently.
Yeah, they do.
But then I can help you with, you know,
like
the looks
the
of stuff.
interior design of my home.
There you go.
Yeah.
And but then you'll go, okay, so I'm just going to research this one board, this floorboard, and I'll do like,
I still haven't made a decision on the floorboards.
Oh my God. So yes, I feel really grateful that you're in my life.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
And that I get to see, you know, you growing as a person and as being a great mum and us, you know, and this is the thing that I think is really important. You know someone is a good friend when you can show them and you feel comfortable, and they show you when they're at their most vulnerable.
Yes, very much.
Because it's not about, you know, friendship is not just about all glitz and glamour and it's all fun when you're out being fun. Yeah. You know, it's like any other relationship.
It's about being vulnerable.
Correct.
And that's what I find, I think, as you get older, different people you meet and different people you click with, you can decide who you want in your life and who you don't.
That's right.
And when people are raw and honest and not just like Facebook, this is my car, this is my house, this is my family. Yeah. Like, everyone has their adversity and it's okay. Everyone has chapters in their book that maybe they don't want to open. Yeah. Everyone does. Everyone has their story. Yeah, and absolutely. To sit back and you can be stuck at chapter 2, you can let that be the catalyst to define your life, or you can get to chapter 10. It's the choice is yours.
So on that, this would be the last question I need to find out from you. Knowing where you are now, what would you like to be doing in, say, 5 years? What do you think you want to be doing? What if you had any choice and money, anything was no object, what are the things that you want to be doing?
Okay, that's pretty simple. I would like to be living on a beachfront, looking out at this ocean.
The Mount. Watch out, Jacqui Robertson's back.
Oh my God. The burnouts going down Marine Parade. That's my dream. It's always been my dream. I want to wake up and have pure clarity, look out at the open water. I'd like to have my kids around me. I'd like to have a loving partner. I'd love to have animals. And I just want to live a nice, simple life with all my high heel shoes.
I love it. That's very cool. Very cool. Well, Jacqui Robertson, thank you so much for coming in today for How Fabulous. It's been really lovely catching up with you. We don't always get to actually see each other in the flesh. We talk a lot, but it's so lovely to see you. You're looking amazing. You're looking so well.
Thank you, Toni.
And I love your stories.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.